Today I want to talk about what I think is hands down the best bow hunting day of the year, and it's not the same day for every state. So in order to let you know what day that is, I need to tell a story. And the story occurred back in 2007. I was interning at a local county, and I had went into work that morning. It was the day after rifle season here in Minnesota. And I was talking with the executive director, and he said, geez, the deer were sure out this morning. So it got me thinking, like, okay, we just had a pretty intense 9-day rifle season. It always is here in Minnesota. I wonder what it would be like to go sit tonight, that day after rifle season. So when I got home that night, I actually went to the back of our farm, and I sat down by the swamp that's on the very back part of our farm. And I didn't even bring my bow with me. I just wanted to sit and see what happened. And as I was sitting there, it probably 2.5 hours before dark, the deer already started to pour out of the swamp. And when I say pour out, I mean pour out. They absolutely poured out of the swamp. And I can't remember how many deer I saw that night, but I remember that I saw at least 3 different bucks that I would have shot with the bow. 3 different mature bucks. I mean, it was the most mature deer I've ever seen at one time on the bow stand. The deer just, they could not wait to get out of that cover and get to the food sources. I was sitting on a stump, not even up in a stand, and I had, I think, 4 or 5 does and fawns walk within 30 yards of me. They looked at me, and it's as if they knew they were safe. They didn't even spook. They just went right past me, even though I was sitting in the wide open. They went up to the fields that were behind me. So it was crazy to see the amount of deer that came out. And since then, we've sat those nights, and we've had some really good hunts on those nights, the night or two after the Minnesota gun season. Now, the key when you're sitting those nights is you want to either find the best cover in your area or the lowest pressured hunting land in your area, because that's where the deer are going to push into during the rifle season. They're going to push into the deepest, densest cover that's around, or they're going to push into those lands that are lightly hunted or not hunted at all. And that's where we've that's where we've had our best sits. You can't just go sit any stand. If you're sitting in, area that didn't have much cover on a highly pressured piece of ground, you're probably not going to see many deer. But if you have a spot where, like the back of our farm, there's a swamp that literally goes for miles, and that's where the deer push into by the end of rifle season, I know that I need to go sit down by that swamp, because that's where the deer had pushed into the day before, or the last day of rifle season. So that day after, I know that's where they're going to be pouring out of, and I can wait for them to come out of the swamp and get my opportunity. So if you've never hunted that day after your rifle season, and if you have a intense rifle season, kind of like Minnesota, where it's 9 days, but it's 9 days of really, really heavy pressure, you will, if you're sitting in those spots where the deer have pushed into during rifle, you will have yourself a good sit. Now, if you're a 5-week-long rifle season, it might not be the same type of sit as compared to Minnesota's 9-day season, which is really intense and right during the middle of the rut. But if you do have one of those types of rifle seasons, it's worth trying to find a spot to sit that day or two after rifle season and see if you can't get yourself in front of a good buck. All right, thanks for listening. Y'all take care. God bless.